What do you think of first when talking about American food? French fries, hamburgers, or maybe fried chicken? America, with its long cultural history, has its own unique food rhythms and flavors that only people who grew up here truly get. Today, let's take a quick trip around the states and check out 25 signature foods you can't find anywhere else. Each one tells a story about the American way of life and its distinct cultural identity, something you just can't get anywhere else in the world. Tater Tots. Those little potato nuggets, shredded and deep fried until crispy, are probably one of the most distinctive American snacks that the outside world hardly knows about. This dish was invented by the Goetta company after World War II, when manufacturers were looking for a creative way to use up all the leftover potato scraps from processing. The original goal was simply saving money, but it quickly became a convenient and familiar food for generations. Making these legendary potato bites starts with boiling or steaming the potatoes, then roughly grating or mashing them, mixing in a little corn flour and salt for binding. This mixture is then shaped into cute little cylinders and finally fried or baked until they achieve that perfect crispness. That crispy exterior contrasting with the soft potato interior is exactly what makes tater tots irresistible. This dish is often served in school cafeterias or during quick family meals. However, American creativity has brought tater tots into many other dishes, from traditional casseroles to more modern and creative dishes like tacos. Memories of hot potato nuggets served with ketchup have left a deep mark on American cuisine. Beef on Weck. If there's one sandwich that deserves to be called the dream sandwich of Western New York, it must be the beef on Weck. Even those who are familiar with the famous French dip are surprised by how unique this dish is. Beef on Weck is a perfect combination of texture and rich flavor. The roasted beef is sliced thin and still pink inside, ensuring absolute tenderness and freshness. The key point lies in the special type of bread used, Weck. This is a roll covered with a layer of coarse salt and crispy caraway seeds on top, giving it a distinct salty, aromatic texture. The flavor gets even richer when the top part of the roll is quickly dipped in beef juice, which softens the bread a bit and enhances the savory umami flavor of the meat. What's special is that the only condiment usually added by Buffalo locals is a generous spoonful of horseradish, that pungent spice that helps burst the overall flavor and balance the richness of the meat. This dish isn't just lunch, it represents Buffalo cuisine, and it's the pride of the local folks. Macaroni and cheese, often called mac and cheese for short. This classic, creamy, cheesy macaroni dish is one that you truly only find in America in its specific version. In many American communities, especially the Black community, this dish is honored as a major holiday food, indispensable on the table during special occasions. The American-style mac and cheese version is truly different from the mac and cheese dishes found abroad, where they often only use plain cheese. The traditional way to make this classic dish starts with using pasta, often elbow macaroni, combined with a wonderful creamy sauce. This sauce is usually a bechamel sauce rich in butter and flour, then mixed with a large amount of sharp cheddar cheese to create that characteristic creamy sauce. The dish can then be baked in the oven, creating an attractive golden crispy crust on top, while the inside remains perfectly gooey and moist. Macaroni and cheese, for Americans, has never been just a side dish. It holds a familiar spot on the table every Thanksgiving, Christmas, or Easter, like a small symbol of fullness and togetherness. This isn't just food, it's a shared memory across the whole country. Aren't these some of the most uniquely American foods? Hit hype to respect the American spirit, and if you're from elsewhere, drop a comment below. Goetta. Goetta is a unique and interesting specialty from Ohio, a thick raw sausage that people outside the state rarely know about. As a direct culinary legacy from German immigrants in Cincinnati in the 1800s, Goetta demonstrates the ingenuity of earlier generations in turning leftover ingredients into a hearty and delicious breakfast. Basically, Goetta is a thick raw sausage made with ground pork, sometimes a mix of pork and beef. What sets Goetta apart is the use of pinhead oats. These oats are added to act as a binder and thickener, and the dish is seasoned with a warm combination of spices, including rosemary, bay leaf, and thyme. Traditionally, Goetta is prepared ahead of time, then sliced thin and fried in butter until the surface is perfectly crispy and attractively browned. Goetta isn't picky about side condiments. It can be enjoyed on its own as a high-protein breakfast or served with various condiments. From basic ketchup, spicy mustard, aromatic apple butter, to sweet syrup, honey, or grape jelly, Goetta flexibly suits all preferences. This dish is so beloved that the largest commercial producer, Gliers, once announced producing over 1 million pounds of Goetta annually. Gumbo. When you mention Louisiana cuisine, gumbo is always the first name, a distinctive, rich soup containing a complex mixture of vegetables, meat, and seafood. This is a vivid symbol of the cultural melting pot cuisine in the Gulf Coast region. This slow-simmered bowl of soup is tied to festivals, gatherings, and cozy family memories, especially on cold, rainy days. The process of making gumbo begins by creating a deep flavor foundation with a dark roux, then adding the New Orleans Holy Trinity, onion, celery, and bell pepper. Next is adding the protein, which can be chicken, spicy andouille sausage, or fresh seafood. Gumbo is thickened with okra or filet powder, then simmered just long enough for the flavors to blend together, creating a thick and rich texture. It often contains many types of meat and vegetables, but celery, bell peppers, and onions are always the three indispensable ingredients. This dish is an icon of Louisiana culture, showcasing the merger of many peoples and culinary traditions. Gumbo offers a warm, deep flavor. It is a dish that every Louisianan American cherishes. Which of these first 5 dishes brought back the deepest childhood memory for you? Please share your memory in the comment section below. Chick-fil-A Fried Chicken Sandwich. The classic fried chicken sandwich from the Chick-fil-A fast food chain is a phenomenon popular across America. For many people who grew up in the South, this isn't just a quick meal. It's a part of fast food culture. The Chick-fil-A brand elevated the chicken sandwich into an icon of Southern fast food chains, stemming from the model established by S. Truett Cathy. It's linked to the memory of that familiar good taste for many generations, a flavor that Americans in the South often seek out. The recipe for this sandwich seems simple, but holds great appeal. The dish uses a chicken breast coated in a signature seasoned batter and deep fried until it has a perfectly crispy outer crust. This hot piece of chicken is then sandwiched in a soft bun, usually served with pickles and a touch of light sauce, creating a wonderful balance of salty, sour, and rich flavors. The crunchiness of the pickle slice is an essential highlight, adding an interesting texture to the dish. Chick-fil-A is very popular in America, with numerous stores across all the states. However, what makes this dish unique to Americans is that it isn't widely available overseas, making it a local culinary treasure. This dish is not just a sandwich, but also an icon of American fast food culture and Southern cuisine, a flavor that international tourists often don't have the chance to experience easily. Sweet tea. Sweet tea is Southern-style sweet tea, a simple drink, yet an undeniable symbol of the South. Although iced tea exists everywhere, this specific Southern American sweet iced tea version is truly only popular and holds deep cultural significance in this region. This drink is tied to memories of hospitality, lazy backyard afternoons, and family gatherings around the dinner table. The sweet iced tea recipe appeared as early as 1879, but it was Southernized into a distinctive cultural feature. The preparation seems simple, but requires finesse to achieve the perfect sweetness. People brew strong black tea, then stir in sugar while the tea is still hot, so the sugar dissolves completely. The tea is then chilled and served over ice, sometimes with a slice of lemon to add a light sour taste. The interesting thing is, many Southerners still consider the glass of sweet tea made by their grandmother or grandfather to be the standard for perfect flavor. Sweet tea isn't just a refreshing drink. It's an act that demonstrates care and hospitality. If you are offered sweet tea, it means you are welcomed and considered part of the family. This drink represents the culture of hospitality and the relaxed lifestyle of the South. Loco Moco. If you are looking for a meal that will fill you up after an active morning, Hawaii's Loco Moco is the choice. Loco Moco is a local invention of the island and is considered one of the heaviest dishes in Gulf Coast cuisine. This dish is especially considered the ideal late breakfast after a strenuous morning of surfing, helping the eater quickly replenish energy. This hearty meal starts with a base layer of white rice. Next, the Loco Moco is topped with 1 or 2 handmade hamburger patties. To add richness, a fried egg, sunny side up, is placed on top. However, the ingredient that defines Loco Moco is the layer of rich brown gravy poured generously over the entire dish. This sauce helps the rice, meat, and egg blend together, creating a harmonious flavor. What makes Loco Moco unique is its flexibility. Although the classic recipe uses a hamburger patty, this meat can be replaced with many other types of protein, from bacon, chili, Kahlua pork, Hawaiian-style pork, shrimp, and especially Spam. This combination represents the distinctive and unique cuisine of Hawaii, where Asian and American culinary traditions intersect. Loco Moco is a dish that represents the spirit of the island, energy-rich and full of flavor. Chicken and waffles. Chicken and waffles is an interesting and contrasting combination of crispy fried chicken and sweet waffles. This dish is a prime example of American culinary creativity, perfectly blending savory and sweet, often served at brunch. This dish has deep roots, connected with Harlem, late-night diners, and jazz culture in New York. It evokes memories of bustling streets and strong cultural cross-pollination. The uniqueness of the dish lies in the contrast. The chicken piece is carefully prepared, often a buttermilk marinated breast, deep fried until crunchy to retain internal moisture. This fried chicken is placed next to a soft waffle with a mild sweetness. What makes this dish complete is when a generous amount of syrup, honey, or even hot honey, spicy honey, is poured over it. The melting syrup blends with the salty flavor of the fried chicken and the crunchiness of the batter, creating an unforgettable symphony of flavors. This is a signature dish of the southern U.S. region. Chicken and waffles represents the creativity in combining contrasting flavors, savory and sweet, in American culture. It has transcended the boundaries of a regular breakfast to become a beloved brunch item, a culinary experience that many older Americans cherish as a part of historical Harlem culture. Kentucky Hot Brown. The Kentucky Hot Brown is a popular open-faced sandwich consisting of turkey, bacon, and rich Mornay sauce. This is more than just a dish, it's a part of the state's elegant culinary history. This dish was created at the legendary Brown Hotel in Louisville in 1926. It was created as a late-night meal to serve tired dance patrons, and it quickly became a genuinely loved and popular dish in Kentucky. The Kentucky Hot Brown is a testament to the refinement and heartiness of early 20th century Southern cuisine. The sandwich starts with a thick base layer of bread. Then it's stacked with delicious slices of turkey and bacon. The main highlight is the Mornay sauce, a bechamel sauce whose flavor is enriched by adding cheese. This Mornay sauce is poured generously over the entire sandwich, and then the sandwich is broiled in the oven until the surface is attractively golden brown. This dish has had many variations over time. In addition to the basic ingredients, some versions also add ham, pimentos, a type of sweet pepper, or tomatoes to enhance flavor and color. The Kentucky Hot Brown is a culinary icon, tied to Kentucky's heritage of elegant cuisine and traditions. It is a dish that provides a feeling of warmth, richness, and completeness, a flavor that Kentuckians highly treasure. Garbage plate. The garbage plate is a dish with a shocking name, but is actually the pride of Rochester, New York. This dish is famous for the quantity and variety of food that is spontaneously piled high on the plate. The garbage plate is extremely popular in the Rochester area, but is little known outside that region, making it a mysterious local specialty. Local food legend says this dish was created at the restaurant Nick Tahoe's Hots. The garbage plate doesn't have a completely fixed recipe, but it follows a basic structure. The dish starts with a base layer of baked beans or macaroni salad, then it's piled high with home fries or French fries. Next is the top layer, which includes a choice of 2 proteins, such as hamburgers, red or white hot dogs, or even Italian sausage. What makes the garbage plate distinct is the final topping. The dish is smothered in onions, mustard, and most importantly, a rich beef chili sauce. This chili sauce binds everything together, creating a hearty blend of flavors. This dish is famous as a hangover cure, an effective remedy after nights of partying. The garbage plate represents an intensely local regional specialty of Rochester, New York, a dish that local residents absolutely love. Cincinnati Chili. Cincinnati Chili is a unique local version of chili, completely different from the traditional chili we usually see. In Cincinnati, this dish resembles a meat sauce used as a topping rather than a bean soup. This dish is an indispensable part of Cincinnati's culinary culture. Many restaurants in the city, most famously Blue Ash and Skyline, serve this unique version of chili, creating a distinct culinary system. Cincinnati Chili has a deep, savory, and completely unique flavor. The special thing is that this chili pairs very well with spaghetti. The dish is served according to a unique numbering system based on the number of ingredients added atop the spaghetti and sauce. For example, ordering a 3-way is when you add a mound of shredded cheddar cheese on top of the spaghetti and chili. If you want something richer, the 4-way will include cheddar along with either onions or beans. And the ultimate is the 5-way, when you combine cheddar, onions, and beans. The complexity in this serving style demonstrates the local residents' appreciation and pride for their unique dish. At Blue Ash, people can even order a 6-way with fried pickles or sliced jalapenos added. Cincinnati Chili is a unique regional dish with its own distinct serving system, a testament to local culinary creativity. Classic American breakfast. The typical American breakfast, including scrambled eggs, bacon, and pancakes, is a familiar and warm image. It's not just a meal, it's a family ritual. This classic breakfast represents the image of family gathering on the weekend, especially on Sunday mornings. Memories of this breakfast are tied to cozy meals, morning radio sounds, and the feeling of post-war family comfort. The structure of this classic breakfast is quite simple, yet extremely satisfying. The eggs can be fluffy scrambled eggs, sunny side up, or fried. Bacon is fried until perfectly crisp, with a rich, salty flavor, making it the perfect match for the sweet items. The most important part is the fluffy, golden brown, soft pancakes, usually stacked high. Pancakes are often made richer when served with a large amount of sweet syrup slowly poured over the surface. This meal is always accompanied by a hot cup of coffee. You can find all 3 of these main items at almost every breakfast establishment in America, from simple diners to fancy hotels. This breakfast is an icon of a warm family meal and the American way of starting the weekend, a tradition cherished by many generations of Americans. If this video is bringing back beautiful memories for you, please show your support by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Let's take more journeys back through memory lane and share other heartwarming historical stories. Grits. Grits are a cornmeal porridge specialty of the American South, a dish that rarely shows up anywhere else in the country. For Southerners, grits isn't just food, it's the comfort food of many families, where each region has its own way of seasoning and consistency. This dish has deep Southern roots. It was originally a native food and later favored by the working class because it was filling and economical. Grits are made from cornmeal grits. This cornmeal is cooked slowly with water or milk until it reaches a smooth porridge consistency. The slow cooking process is the key for grits to achieve a soft texture and deep flavor. The dish is often enriched by adding butter, cheese, or other savory seasonings. This Southern staple is often served with shrimp. The combination of creamy grits and seasoned sautéed shrimp is one of the most distinctive breakfast or brunch dishes of the region. The funny thing is, if a Southerner goes up north and tries to order grits, they might get a strange look from the server because it's simply not a popular dish there. Grits represent traditional American Southern culture and cuisine, carrying an irreplaceable historical flavor. Gooey butter cake. Gooey butter cake is a flat, dense cake whose name describes itself perfectly, immediately suggesting a mouth-watering sensation. If you grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, this cake is definitely linked to your memories. This sticky cake originated in St. Louis in the 1930s. It was an accidental invention, supposedly due to a baker making a mistake in the recipe. But the result created a wonderful dessert. This cake is made from a baked mixture of flour, butter, sugar, and eggs. However, the special thing is the high ratio of butter and sugar, which allows the filling inside to retain moisture and a sticky texture. The result is a rich, dense, and super gooey cake. The outer crust might be lightly crisp, but inside is a creamy, sweet layer that almost melts in your mouth. This cake is a strong local specialty. It can be found in almost every grocery store in the St. Louis area. However, what makes it unique is that it is not available outside of that region. Gooey butter cake is usually dusted with a thin layer of powdered sugar on top, adding visual appeal. It is a local specialty with cultural value in St. Louis, and its meaning is often associated with simple pleasure and comfort, considered a wonderful breakfast when served with a strong cup of coffee. Crab Louie. Crab Louie is a seafood salad with a respectable history. It is a dish that was once extremely popular in the early 20th century. Crab Louie evokes memories of the golden age of West Coast cuisine, when lavish meals often featured fresh seafood. This salad was very popular in the early 1900s, especially on the West Coast, and its origins are noted as being in either Seattle or San Francisco. However, like many other trendy dishes, after its heyday, the dish declined, and now Crab Louie is only available at a few hotels and restaurants on the West Coast. The classic form of this dish is a fairly simple salad, but the ingredients must be fresh and high quality. It consists of fresh crab meat, usually Dungeness crab, sliced hard-boiled eggs, tomatoes, and asparagus, all served on a bed of crisp lettuce. This dish is usually served with mayonnaise-based dressing or green goddess dressing. In particular, the version at Swan Oyster Depot in San Francisco is said to be legendary, a rare spot that still maintains the traditional recipe. Crab Louie is a classic dish that shows the refinement of historical West Coast cuisine. It is tied to the peak crab season and is a wonderful way to enjoy fresh seafood. Chicago-style Italian beef sandwich. The Italian beef sandwich, or Chicago-style Italian beef sandwich, is a true Chicago legend. For local residents, this dish holds cultural value even more than deep dish pizza. It's not just a sandwich, but a juicy, flavor-packed culinary experience, a characteristic feature you'd be hard-pressed to find elsewhere. The story begins with beef loin. The meat is dry roasted in a secret spice blend, then sliced thin. The core of the dish is the broth. The meat slices are nestled in a hearty roll and then dipped in gravy, often called au jus, meat juice. Customers can choose the amount of broth, and most famous beef stands like Al's, Johnny's, and Mr. Beef encourage patrons to get their sandwich wet. The bread, soaked in sauce, is soft and melts in your mouth. However, the dish is at its best when topped with giardiniera, a mixture of pickled, spicy vegetables. The sour and pungent spice of the giardiniera balances the richness of the beef and sauce. The Italian beef sandwich is an indispensable culinary icon of Chicago. It is often assessed that, with giardiniera, the Italian beef might just be the greatest sandwich you'll ever eat. Thanksgiving sandwich. The Thanksgiving sandwich isn't a dish created from a meticulous cooking recipe, but a simple yet meaningful act. The chance for Americans to stuff all the best Thanksgiving fixings into one sandwich. This dish is part of Thanksgiving culture. Only Americans created this dish because Thanksgiving is only celebrated in America, and it's a popular way to make use of leftovers from the night before's dinner. Memories of the Thanksgiving sandwich are usually associated with relaxing after an oversized holiday dinner and the warm feeling of family. The recipe for this sandwich doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs everything that's left over. Typically, the sandwich contains sliced roast turkey, flavorful stuffing, sweet and sour cranberry sauce for balance, and a generous amount of rich gravy. Sometimes there's also mashed potatoes and whatever else is left. The popularity of this dish has moved beyond the holiday. Some restaurants even serve this dish year-round due to public demand. However, you won't find anywhere serving it overseas, making it a flavor that is very American and only found here. Burgoo. Burgoo is a thick, hearty soup, a robust stew packed with meat and vegetables. This dish is a unique regional culinary specialty. Tied closely to the state of Kentucky, Burgoo remains a regional specialty of Kentucky, and it's very hard to find it outside of this state. This dish evokes memories of community gatherings and large outdoor parties. Burgoo's uniqueness lies in the complex combination of meats. This soup is usually made with beef, pork, chicken, and lamb, creating a rich and deep flavor. These meats are combined with corn, beans, and other vegetables, then simmered for many hours. The slow simmering process allows the flavors to meld together, creating a stew with excellent thickness. Burgoo is often served at community events, large barbecues, or horse races. It is a hearty dish, capable of feeding a large crowd. Many local residents say the best place to eat Burgoo is Stella's in Lexington, where it's served with 4 small cornbread muffins for dipping. The cornbread muffins help soak up all that rich soup, creating a perfect flavor combination. Burgoo is a unique local dish of Kentucky, carrying a meaning of unity and tradition. Shoofly Pie. Shoofly Pie is a special type of baked pie associated with the Pennsylvania Dutch community. The name Shoofly is said to come from the fact that this sweet cake attracted flies in the kitchen and people constantly had to shoo them away. This dish is a specialty of the Pennsylvania Dutch, a flavor cherished by many German Americans in that area. The Shoofly pie has a unique structure, different from ordinary baked pies. The crust is filled with a rich-tasting dark molasses mixture, combined with water and a little baking soda for leavening. The dark molasses gives it a dark color and a deep, non-cloying sweetness. The most important part is the topping, which is a layer of crumbs. This crumb layer is usually a combination of flour, brown sugar, and butter, sprinkled over the molasses filling. When baked, the filling underneath becomes sticky and moist, while the crumb topping creates a crispy texture. This contrast in texture makes Shoofly pie appealing. This dish is often considered a wonderful breakfast when served with a strong cup of coffee. It is part of the simple, economical, and warm culinary heritage of the Pennsylvania Dutch. American chop suey. American chop suey is a dish found exclusively in New England. Although it shares a name with the Chinese-American chop suey dish, this is a completely different meal. This dish demonstrates regional culinary fusion, carrying Italian influence more than Chinese. For New England residents, American chop suey is a comfort food cooked frequently in homes. The classic American chop suey is a combination of simple ingredients that create a hearty meal. It includes elbow macaroni, ground beef, onions, bell peppers, and most importantly, a rich tomato sauce. This dish can be prepared quickly and easily, making it a popular choice for busy family dinners. The funny thing is that American chop suey is almost nothing like its Chinese-American cousin, which is usually meat, eggs, vegetables, and thick sauce. New England's American chop suey has the characteristics of a casserole or an Italian pasta dish cooked American style. This dish is a signature item of New England cuisine, a flavor that local residents are extremely familiar with and love, evoking memories of simple but nutritious meals. Black pudding, blood sausage. Black pudding, or blood sausage as Americans call it, is one of those rare breakfast items that makes many Americans wrinkle their nose before taking a second bite. Although originating in England, Scotland, this blood sausage followed immigrants to America starting in the 19th century and quickly became a familiar part of the breakfast of the working-class community in industrial towns in the Northeast and Midwest. Blood sausage was created with the goal of thoroughly utilizing parts of the pig that otherwise would have gone to waste. From pig's blood, fat scraps, oats, to unwanted meat cuts, they turned everything into a powerful source of nutrition rich in iron, protein, and minerals, the fuel that kept them strong for long shifts in the mines, factories, and workshops. When sliced and fried, blood sausage has a special texture. The outside becomes crispy, while the inside remains soft and crumbly, delivering a rich mineral flavor from the blood. Today, due to food safety regulations and changing tastes, this dish appears less often. But at immigrant community gatherings, old-school breakfast diners in the Rust Belt, or cultural heritage festivals, you can still find black pudding as a vivid part of American memory, rustic, strong, and unafraid to use everything at hand to feed the family. Hoover stew. During America's darkest days, when banks were failing everywhere and the job market felt hopeless, finding a meal that could feed the whole family without breaking the monthly budget was the top priority. And Hoover stew was one of the excellent choices back then. This dish perfectly represented the spirit of waste nothing. Grandparents would use scraps and leftovers, anything remaining from the previous day's meal or the cheapest bits of meat trimmings, to create this stew. What was special about it was that the dish didn't require fancy seasonings. You just threw everything you had into the pot, and miraculously, it turned into a meal that was delicious, filling, and nutritious. For those who lived through that era, Hoover stew felt like a financial lifesaver. You could cook it any time without worrying about overspending that month. Later, once economic stability returned, Hoover stew slowly faded into memory. It disappeared from dinner tables, making way for richer, more complex, and flavorful stews. Cornmeal mush. Amidst dreary and cold mornings, workers needed a warm and healthy source of energy. Cornmeal mush quickly joined the list of economically sensible breakfasts, providing the essential warmth and fullness needed to start a long day of struggle. The hard times meant buying bacon, sausage, or other meats for breakfast was impossible because the cost was simply too restrictive. This mush was the perfect nutritional solution to kick off the day at 7 a.m. This dish was also easy and quick to make. The cornmeal would be cooked until smooth, then often served with sweet maple syrup to make it easier to eat. However, in many cases, to add richer flavor and creaminess, our grandmothers would serve cornmeal mush with thick sausage gravy. This helped the dish provide the necessary fat and protein needed to maintain health. When tough times hit, porridges in general became a very appealing meal, an important source of calories and energy for working people. The simplicity and effectiveness of cornmeal mush proved that nutrition didn't have to be expensive, it just needed to be enough to stay healthy during those long and challenging days. Rice and raisins. Back in those hard days, a handful of raisins could turn a simple meal into a warm dessert. Rice and raisins was an incredibly simple yet fully nutritious combination. By adding a few raisins, ordinary white rice immediately transformed into a creamy, sweet, and warm pudding without needing expensive sugar. The rice was slowly simmered in water or milk, and then the raisins were added. The raisins would swell up and release their natural sweetness, forming a creamy, warm pudding. The standard recipe involved cooking the rice, then mixing it with warm milk, raisins, a minimal amount of sugar, and salt to balance the flavor. A batch of rice and raisins like this could feed 6 people for just 7 cents back then. Today, the total cost is about $1.80, which is only 30 cents per serving. Modern families can still save up to $55 per month by using this dish for breakfast or dessert instead of expensive boxed cereals. Its flavor is not just delicious, it brings back that distinctive feeling of warmth and comfort from a bygone era. Corned beef hash. In an era where many dishes were substitutes for things people couldn't buy, corned beef hash was a dish that provided a genuine and hearty feel, a way to escape mock foods. This meal became a symbol of Great Depression cuisine, supplying both the necessary vegetables and protein to maintain health during long days of struggle. The nature of hash is flexibility and maximum utilization. The name beef in this dish meant much more broadly. It could be any available meat, whether cheap fresh canned beef or even leftovers from the last soup. This combination turned small, fragmented bits of meat into a large meal. Thick gravy, often a cheap store-bought variety or homemade from leftover fat, became the preferred accompaniment, helping bind the ingredients and boost the rich flavor. The popularity of this dish went beyond the family kitchen. Corned beef hash was featured on diner menus across the states, where workers could buy a serving for as little as 75 cents. This figure highlights its affordability, allowing low-income earners to still enjoy a hearty meal, providing the satisfaction needed to get through a long, tiring day. Potato soup. During the Great Depression years, the potato was the king of the kitchen. They were cheap, easy to grow, easy to store, and extremely versatile. Potato soup was a dish whose quality was much tastier depending on the family's financial situation. Sometimes it was hearty, and sometimes it was quite basic. This soup was often reserved for most important days or special occasions at the time, a rare event in the austere culinary schedule. In its most basic version, potato soup was a testament to extreme scarcity. The recipe only needed salt, pepper, and water to make soup from sliced boiled potatoes. This soup was hot, providing pure warmth, and served even families who frequently lacked essentials like butter and milk. It was a meal of humility, but a guarantee of a warm belly. However, when conditions improved, the full potato soup recipe was definitely a delicious soup. When a little butter, milk, onion, or even a slice of bacon could be added, the soup instantly transformed into a rich, creamy comfort meal, providing a rare sense of luxury. This dish demonstrated the great flexibility of homemakers in adjusting portions according to the budget. Regardless of the version, potato soup remains a warm anchor in the memories of those who lived through that era. Apple Brown Betty's. Before the economy collapsed, Apple Brown Betty's was considered a relatively luxurious dessert, featuring crust, cinnamon, apples, breadcrumbs, and brown sugar. It was a hearty dish, reflecting the abundance of a feast. However, when the Great Depression hit, the scarcity of ingredients, especially apples and sugar, forced this dessert to change in order to survive. During the Depression, ingredients became scarce. The grandmother's ingenuity kept Apple Brown Betty's on the table, but with an entirely new appearance and flavor. This dish featured a main filling of oatmeal and anything else available in the cupboard. Oatmeal was a cheap ingredient that could provide the necessary texture and consistency to create a warm baked dish, substituting for the expensive apple filling. The most unique and interesting thing about this dish was its locality and improvisation. Variations of Apple Brown Betty's existed in a strange culinary gap, reflecting the creativity of each individual family. This Betty dish could be completely different in every neighborhood, depending on the type of nuts, syrup, or breadcrumbs the homemaker could find. It is a lesson in resourcefulness and customization, a true cultural mark of hard times, where every kitchen wrote its own survival recipe. Hominy. In the list of Great Depression salvation foods, hominy represented the return of forgotten ingredients. Hominy is made from dried corn kernels, a type of food that had been overlooked until the economic crisis struck, forcing people to seek out basic and easily accessible grains. Hominy quickly became popular due to its unique flavor and texture. Its taste can best be described as a cross between dumplings and mashed potatoes, providing the filling and hearty sensation that protein-deprived families desperately needed. Hominy was a very affordable grain, easily found in cans everywhere, and it was also considered very healthy and delicious. Hominy usually cost 15 cents or more at most stores in the U.S., which at the time was definitely a bargain. The low price provided families with a stable and reliable nutritional option. Stokely's Hominy was a very popular and affordable brand, so much so that many people still hold fond memories of it. Memories of a simple yet fulfilling meal that helped them survive the darkest years. Biscuits and gravy. Biscuits and gravy powerfully proved that rich flavor and pure comfort don't require fancy ingredients. It was a hearty breakfast, requiring only the use of leftover meat fat to create the soul of the dish. The biscuits themselves were made from flour and lard or shortening. The gravy was the true soul of the dish, made by cleverly stirring flour into the meat fat rendered in the pan, then slowly adding milk or water until the sauce thickened and became creamy. This dish nourished the body with high fat content, a necessary source of energy, helping workers have enough strength to get through long, heavy work days. This meal only cost about 11 cents to feed 6 people back then. Today, the total cost is about $2.80, which is just 47 cents per serving, much lower than breakfast at typical diners, which cost $8 to $12. Mastering this hearty breakfast helps modern families save up to $90 monthly. Even the U.S. military used variations of the biscuits and gravy recipe during World War II for their mess hall meals because it was cheap, filling, and high in calories for heavy labor. Mock chicken legs. When fresh chicken became too expensive and out of reach for many families, the previous generation used extraordinary ingenuity to create a culinary illusion that made children believe they were eating real chicken legs. This was a creative psychological tactic intended to provide the feeling of being treated to a delicacy, a rare sense of luxury amidst the hardships. They used cheaper cuts of meat like pork or veal. These pieces of meat were shaped into drumsticks by inserting a wooden stick or a small bone, creating the appearance of a chicken leg. Then these mock chicken legs were battered and either fried or baked, providing the crispy sensation of fried meat without the high cost. In the 1930s, making mock chicken legs only cost about 25 cents for the whole family, much cheaper than buying real chicken, which cost nearly 70 cents a pound at the time. By using inexpensive pork or veal instead of chicken, homemakers saved more than 60% of the cost while still providing the whole family with the feeling of eating fancy. This dish is a touching testament to the love and sacrifice of parents for their children during tough times. SOS, creamed chipped beef on toast. This dish, famous by the nickname SOS, given by American soldiers, became a lifeline that helped countless families feel full during the Depression. This is a prime example of resourcefulness by stretching precious slices of dried chipped beef with a homemade white cream sauce. This cream sauce was made from fat or butter, flour or cornstarch, and milk. The thinly sliced beef was stirred into the sauce and then scooped onto toast, which was called a shingle, or onto biscuits. This dish created a filling, protein-rich meal that kept people satisfied for a long time. The original U.S. Army manuals listed SOS as a recommended breakfast because it was high in calories, easy to adjust portions, and loved by soldiers for the feeling that it stuck to their ribs. Long-lasting fullness. Depression-era families spent only about 15 cents to feed 6 people. Today, the ingredients per serving cost about $3.50, or about 58 cents per serving, much lower than diner breakfast, which run from $8 to $10. This protein-rich dish helps modern families save $65 monthly if they can find cheap sources of chipped beef. Possum and sweet potatoes. You wouldn't believe that this dish made from small game was served for Sunday dinner and considered fine dining in mountain communities. It represented the peak of Appalachian game cooking artistry. Opossums were usually caught in late fall after they had feasted on the abundant persimmons and acorns on the trees. Then eating these natural sweet fruits gave their meat surprisingly sweet flavor. After skinning, cleaning, scrubbing thoroughly, and soaking overnight in salt water, the animal was parboiled, partially boiled, to remove the wild smell. Then it was stuffed with sweet potatoes, wild onions, and sage. The opossum was roasted slowly in a Dutch oven buried in coals, basted frequently with its own grease mixed with molasses. The sweet potatoes inside absorbed the rich, slightly sweet pan drippings, while the skin became crispy and golden. This was a feast worthy of special occasions, enough to make city folks reconsider their assumptions about rural cuisine. potato pan pancakes. When potatoes were peeled for mashed dishes, the remaining ones were transformed by homemakers into a warm breakfast treat. Potato pan pancakes truly revolutionized the breakfast scene during the hard times, providing a warm and hearty source of energy. As inflation rose, making farmers markets unaffordable, low-income households struggled to buy produce. People needed a vegetable that was both reasonably priced and easy to prepare in large batches. Potatoes were the answer. These pancakes were often made with matzo meal or applesauce, creating a soft, smooth texture inside and a crispy crunch outside. To enhance the rich flavor and appeal, they were often topped with golden fried garlic or onions. Anyone who survived the Depression era would praise you for this godsend, as it was cheap, filling, and delicious, an abundant source of carbohydrates to fuel the long day. However, as times started to get better and economic stability returned, people gradually began switching to fancier and more creative breakfasts. This caused simple and humble dishes like potato pan pancakes to gradually be left behind, giving way to more complex options as affordability improved. Boiled carrot sandwiches. The boiled carrot sandwich was a product created from a strange culinary gap due to rising prices and people's savings accounts growing thinner. People always hoped to find vegetables that met the criteria of being both cheaper and tastier. But even those criteria were becoming hard to meet. Boiled carrots, a basic and readily available ingredient, became the filling choice for sandwiches. The boiled carrot sandwich persisted throughout that period thanks to its ultimate simplicity. This simplicity reflected the deep frustration, but also the unexpected creativity of homemakers. A popular option to make this dish more appealing and textured was to bake cheese on top to create an open-faced sandwich, adding necessary flavor and richness. Although it may sound strange and hard to imagine for modern palates, creating dishes like this was very common, demonstrating the survival spirit and resourcefulness of the people when facing daily scarcity. This is one of the dishes that expresses the absolute pragmatism of Depression-era cuisine. Prune pudding. Prune pudding was one of the more niche, lesser-known dishes, but it was highly favored during the Great Depression. What was surprising about this dish was that it spread even to the upper classes, as even famous VIP figures had to live under tight budgets in how they ate. The recipe for this pudding was incredibly simple, made from one simple ingredient, prunes, along with some optional syrup to boost the sweetness. Prunes provided natural sweetness and a chewy texture, creating a dessert that was just enough to satisfy a sweet tooth while remaining economical. This dish became extremely popular thanks to the efforts of First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, who served it at White House parties, making the dish legit and accepted even among the elite. For ordinary people, it was considered one of the tastiest and cheapest meals they could bring home, a small luxury during those long, hard days. Egg drop soup. In the 1930s, America, egg drop soup became a favorite soup among the masses. This was a great dish for those struggling to earn an honest wage. Given the difficult circumstances, people had a habit of maximizing the benefits of poultry to ensure nothing was wasted. The innovative egg drop soup recipe often involved using stale bread from the night before that was toasted or crisped up, combined with well-beaten eggs. Sometimes, the soup was also enhanced with a little boiled or shredded chicken or rich chicken broth to boost the flavor. The simplicity of the eggs and old bread created a comforting dish, providing the necessary protein and starch. A memorable detail that any homemaker from that time would recall was the preparation of this dish. The process of meticulously beating the eggs to create the soup's smooth consistency was likened to a rigorous forearm workout, a quiet yet necessary effort to bring a hot, fully nutritious meal to the family. Cabbage and noodles. Cabbage and noodles often looked simply like a pound of cabbage mixed into a modest portion of noodles. In some areas, it was affectionately called huska, a name that evoked the simplicity and warmth of home cooking. Even though soaring prices spared no one, people still needed to satisfy their hunger with a hearty meal. The great thing about this dish was that it wasn't the most expensive meal. as both cabbage and noodles were basic, cheap, and easy to stockpile ingredients. Furthermore, you could enjoy a full bowl by making it quite quickly, which was very convenient after long, exhausting workdays. Cabbage and noodles was a combination of basic, inexpensive ingredients that provided enough carbohydrates and fiber to keep people full for a long time. This was considered a must-have dish in families' cooking repertoire if they wanted to survive the harsh economic depression. This meal is a perfect example of turning humble ingredients into a memorable meal. Bean soup. Bean soup was a fairly simple dish to prepare, yet it was a rich source of protein and fiber, providing low-income communities with a great way to eat healthily during difficult times. This dish was particularly beloved in states like Idaho, where it originated, becoming an indispensable part of the local culinary culture. The bean soup recipe used dried red kidney beans in a thick soup. Dried beans were a very affordable commodity, easy to stockpile, and could be cooked in large quantities to feed many people. This dish could be seasoned simply or enhanced with a bit of bacon if the family could afford that luxury. A special story attached to the soup is when Idaho Senator Fred Dubois passed a bill requiring the Senate restaurant to feature bean soup on its daily menu. This demonstrated the importance of this simple soup. It wasn't just a meal, but a symbol of humility, tradition, and the resilience that sustained the entire nation. Milk toast. On days when cooking a hearty meal was too much work, or when a favorite meal was unaffordable, milk toast became the salvation for many families. This dish was exactly what the name suggested. Bread, perfectly toasted, then completely drenched in warm milk. To enhance the flavor and richness, it was often topped with a thick layer of butter. All it took to make this dish was some fresh, good bread, or even stale bread that had been toasted again, and a warm cup of milk. Milk toast quickly became one of the most popular breakfasts across the states, catering specifically to those living below the poverty line. Even 20-year-olds in the working class ate this dish daily because it was easy, cheap, and provided essential warmth and comfort. This dish provided pure coziness, a gentle comfort during stressful times. Although today this dish might be considered very vintage or only for the sick, the memory of it remains warm in the hearts of those who lived through the Depression era. Squirrel stew / Brunswick stew. In rural areas where the impact of the economic crisis was particularly severe, getting any kind of meat was a huge challenge. Fresh chicken, beef, or pork had become too expensive, leading to serious protein shortages in traditional stews. The ingenuity of the people led them to utilize readily available natural resources. That's why the practice of using squirrel in stew began to be widely adopted in daily meals. Squirrel meat would be slow cooked at a low temperature for a long time until the meat was tender, easy to digest, and flavorful. Then, the grandmother would cook it with tomatoes, onions, and basic locally available vegetables, creating a thick, rich stew capable of feeding an entire family. For poor communities, this stew, with its flexible variations, was a regular source of nutrition to maintain health. This dish was also a favorite of President William Henry Harrison. He loved squirrel meat so much that he often served the stew for free at rallies and voter gatherings nationwide as part of his campaign efforts. Mock apple pie. In a time when sweet delights became rare and luxurious, mock apple pie brought a bit of comfort and joy. This wonderful dessert won over the nation because it solved a pressing financial problem. At this time, fresh apples had become far too expensive for families struggling with economic hardship to afford. That scarcity fueled the incredible creativity of homemakers. The secret lay in using cheap Ritz crackers. These famous crackers were skillfully crushed and mixed with a little vanilla corn syrup, then topped with the fresh flavor of lemon and the warm taste of cinnamon. The result was a perfect culinary illusion. The dish looked and tasted exactly like real apple pie, fooling the taste buds without hurting the wallet. Amazingly, this mock apple pie only cost 18 cents to make during the Depression, a very low figure compared to 75 cents for a real apple pie. This dish was cheap and easy to make, just like Hoover stew, and its popularity exploded. In fact, the Ritz brand had to print instructions for making mock apple pie right on the back of their cracker boxes. Dandelion salad. The name dandelion salad might sound like something out of a fairy tale, but it was actually an extremely economical yet incredibly tasty and healthy meal. The Great Depression forced people to forage for and eat whatever was available, and this salad thoroughly embraced that foraging spirit. This dish was notably almost cost-free because the main ingredients were foraged and picked directly from nature, specifically wild dandelion plants. This meal required patience and a high foraging spirit involving searching for and gathering dandelions, then meticulously removing all the roots, flowers, and debris to ensure only the tender, clean green leaves remained. The remaining ingredients needed to create the delicious and fresh flavor was simply fresh lemon juice, olive oil, and a touch of salt. For those on a strict diet, or especially those with extremely tight budgets, dandelion salad was truly a godsend. Its freshness, zero cost, and nutritious value were undeniable, reminding us that even things considered weeds could become precious sources of sustenance during times of scarcity. Vinegar pie. If there is one dish on this list that makes us pause because of its strangeness, it is vinegar pie. Beginning to spread rapidly from states like Pennsylvania in the early 1930s, this pie was considered even more budget-friendly than the dandelion salad we just mentioned. At a time when basic baking ingredients like eggs, milk, and sugar became expensive, ingenuity turned vinegar, a common ingredient in every kitchen, into the soul of the dessert. The recipe for this dish was incredibly minimal, showcasing maximum economy. All that was needed to create this pie was an open pie crust, vinegar, sugar, and a few eggs. The vinegar provided a distinctive tartness, substituting for the fruity flavors that people usually couldn't afford. To mask the somewhat ordinary flavor of the pie, people often topped the crust with a thick, soft, and sweet layer of meringue. This meringue created an interesting contrast, transforming the pie from a necessity into a beloved dessert. Simple pleasures like this vinegar pie helped people maintain their vitality after a hard week of work, cutting expenses and working long hours. If this content gives you a deeper appreciation for the previous generation, please press HYPE to preserve and spread these values. Creamed chipped beef on toast. While many Depression-era dishes focused on extreme simplicity, creamed chipped beef on toast was a fancier kind of toast-based breakfast. True comfort food was lacking during the Great Depression. Beef was genuinely expensive at that time, so this dish was often found in middle to upper-class households who were still trying to maintain a certain standard of living. This dish only required thin slices of beef and a jar, which wasn't too expensive, but the main highlight was a thick, creamy white sauce to complete it. This cream sauce transformed the delicate beef slices into a hearty meal. This was considered an excellent substitute for comfort food, offering a rare sense of luxury. Meat lovers would sprinkle cayenne pepper on top, an act that brought back memories of the days when they sprinkled this seasoning on steak, not toast. This dish was a rare indulgence, proof that even during the Depression, some families still managed to seek out rich flavors. Oatmeal cakes. Amidst the prolonged economic downturn, homemakers constantly looked for clever ways to bring small joys to their families. Between the panic and exhaustion after long days, oatmeal cakes appeared as a warm, soft comfort, often linked to memories of visiting grandparents. This cake didn't require complexity or luxurious ingredients that few could afford back then. The secret lay in using boxed oatmeal, an affordable and readily available ingredient, as the base for a soft cake. The oats created that characteristic moist texture, both filling and sweetly satisfying. If they were lucky, and if they could find them in the pantry, the cake would be topped with a crispy layer of almonds or peanuts. Adding these nuts not only enhanced the flavor, but was also a sign of rare luxury. What made oatmeal cakes especially beloved during those stressful times was how quickly they could be made. This cake took just 35 minutes to prepare. After a long day filled with anxiety and financial struggle, people needed a fast comfort food that didn't require much effort or time standing in the kitchen. Oatmeal cakes perfectly met that need, becoming a simple form of mental therapy. The warmth radiating from the oven, the subtle scent of oats and cinnamon filling the dark house, brought a sense of peace and security that money couldn't buy. This simplicity is proof that even in scarcity, love and care always found a way to manifest, creating beautiful childhood memories. If this video brings back memories of how your grandparents cleverly managed Depression-era meals, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next emotional, nostalgic stories. Depression cake. After the 1929 stock market crash, baking became a distant dream. All the usual baking ingredients like sugar, butter, and eggs skyrocketed in price. This posed a major challenge for homemakers who longed to bring a little sweet joy to their children, and that's how Depression cake was born. This cake was made using a recipe that did not require sugar, butter, or eggs. Instead of expensive fats and binding agents, the recipe used baking powder, water, and substitute butter to create a light, fluffy cake structure and a pleasant flavor. This was a direct and clever response to scarcity. Depression cake was more than just a dish. It set an important precedent during that era because it inspired other creative substitution dishes, such as mock apple pie. It proved that even when the most basic ingredients were taken away, the creative spirit could still produce things that brought joy. For families longing for a sweet cake on the table, this was close enough to provide a feeling of indulgence. No matter how harsh the living conditions were, its flavor wasn't quite that of a luxurious butter cake, but its sweetness carried a deeper meaning, the sweetness of spiritual triumph and perseverance. From distinctly American foods tied to school and street culture to the failed experimental recipes of an era of creative freedom, this list is living proof of the uniqueness and diversity of American cuisine. We hope this journey back through memory lane has brought you moments of relaxation and nostalgia. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more exciting content coming soon.